The opinions expressed on this show are those of the host or guest and don't necessarily represent those of DDP Yoga. Consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. This is the Team DDP Yoga Experience with your host, Ross Raymond.
Hey, and welcome to this week's show. This is the podcast that introduces you to the other members of Team DDP Yoga. Thanks to everyone who's been listening and downloading and subscribing on iTunes. If you do use iTunes and you want to give us a review, as long as it's a positive review, it would sure be appreciated. Now, today's guest is the man behind DDP Yoga, and the reason why so many people have incredible stories to share on this show. I am truly honored to have him on the show today. Diamond Dallas Page. Hey, man, thanks so much for joining me today.
Any member of Team DDP Yoga, man, you know, it's all about helping the team out.
Hey, before we get right into it, and of course the show is about Team DDP Yoga, I want to just ask you real quick, how fulfilling and emotional was that WrestleMania weekend for you?
Well, you know, one thing we talk about, you know, all over, you know, Team DDP Yoga is about work ethic, you know, and putting the work in because, you know, nobody just loses weight. No one just gets stronger, gets more flexible, gets, you know, feels better without working at it. It just doesn't happen. Jake Roberts and Scott Hall along the way, they've had some stumbles, but you know they've gotten up stronger each time. Neither one of them ever would have got there if they didn't put the work in. And so, you know, for it to actually be my birthday and both of those guys get inducted in the same day, you know, it's you know. It's an amazing journey, and the journey's still not over yet. That was like the big move, you know, to get those guys so they could walk away from the business with their head held high. You know, after them Scott having the E60 or whatever it's called that he did on ESPN, and Jake having to be on the mat. You know, they didn't want to be remembered like that. You know. But both of those guys struggle with alcoholism and addiction as a whole on both sides. And so, you know, it's not like I cured anybody because there is no curing an addiction. I just helped them get a more positive attitude and a healthier lifestyle. And my hope is that they can continue it, you know, when they're not around, you know, around the machine, you know.
Well, part of that, of course, was the healthy environment you made them comfortable in. The environment they've moved on to, obviously, they're still checking in with you. That's such a big part of anybody's success, whether it be weight loss, sobriety, any of those different aspects.
Absolutely, and consistency. You know, you got to live it. And you know, the problem with someone like Jake is he still, you know, occasionally, because he's fallen a few times along this journey, which will all come out in the resurrection of Jake the Snake. You know, he's fallen along the road, you know, and each time I think he gets a little bit stronger, but, you know, sometimes his falls are, you know, frequent. Like within a couple of months, he'll fall again, and remember, he'll go out and get plastered, and then friggin', you know, who knows where he ends up. But normally he might do that, turn into a week and just be gone and just out. That's the one thing he doesn't do, you know, anymore. He can be back up and, you know, back in real life pretty quickly. But you know, for Jake, it's gotten to a point where he can't drink, you know, at all, you know, and really no addict can. The problem is they think that they can. You know, from time to time, they start to think, well, I've been good. I deserve this, you know, and that's where the conflict comes in. You know, so I'm hoping that, you know, they can keep moving forward. But, you know, we've been filming this movie, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, and it's a pretty powerful movie because we put it all out there. It's nothing like Beyond the Mat where it's an expose, but it's we talk about, you know, the addiction and, you know, the trials and tribulations that because it's about Jake. Scott's in it, but you know, it's about Jake and his story. And, you know, when it's all movie's said and done, we're hoping there's a happy ending. But even if we have a happy ending, that doesn't mean you won't screw up the next day, you know. So I want to make it really clear. There is no healing or, you know, I cured them because there's no such thing. And I'm not a rehab guy. I'm just a positive self-motivator guy who believes if you put the work in, you're going to get the results.
Well, I can't wait to see the end results of that resurrection of Jake the Snake, as so many people are. It's one of those things that's on the radar, and I can't wait to see the finished product. Now, most people know, at least if they're part of Team DDP Yoga, they know the story behind the creation of DDP Yoga. But can you enlighten those who may be new or just considering DDP Yoga for the first time, sort of the Cole's Notes version?
Yeah, I'm a guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. Now my name's attached to it, but it's a whole different version. You know, I didn't start. People need to understand. I didn't start wrestling until I was 35 years old. My career did not take off until I was 40. That was in 1996. I was always looking for ways to hold back the hands of time. Like, I'm the first person to ever ice their body in professional wrestling. You know, like ice your knees, ice your back. You know, when I did it, everybody looked at me and went, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm icing my knees. I'm icing my back." Like, why? Why would you do that? To take down inflammation. Like, they laughed at me. Now everyone does it. I was the first person to film all my matches. Everybody thought I was like a mark for myself, but I was doing it like game films. Now everybody does it, especially if they're coming up, you know, in independent leagues. Deep muscle massage therapy, chiropractic, applied kinesiology, organic juicing, all things to help heal my body. So I was really tapped in to holding back the hands of time. If you're going to, you know, starting wrestling at 35, the big problem is you're starting so late. You're starting at 35, but the positive thing about starting at 35 was I was 35, you know, and I needed to be much smarter than I would have if I was 28 or 25. You know, a lot of kids break it in their early 20s. So it made me smarter of what I could do and how to heal my body. So when my career blew up when I was 40 in 1996, wrestling took over the cable networks. We literally had 4 of the top 10 shows were WCW or WWF. And I was working a rigorous schedule. Just finished a movie, Ready to Rumble. I'd done it, you know, between Leno and The Tonight Show and Kilborn and Hollywood Squares. I was on the road all the time. In a certain time, your body just goes, okay, guess what? You're done. Boom. And I blew out my back. Actually, I ruptured my L4 and L5, and I had 3 specialists tell me my career was over. And that one was in Houston, one was in Atlanta, the other was in New York. They all said the same thing. Awesome career, kid, but you're done. And I didn't want to believe that. I just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. I was married to Kimberly at the time, and she started talking to me about yoga. And I was like, F that. I'm not doing yoga. And my mind was just, so I understand any person who has that message in their mind, yoga, I'm not doing yoga. I was that guy, so I get it. And I'd rehab both shoulder surgeries, both knee surgeries, so I knew quite a bit about rehab and a lot about breaking up scar tissue. So eventually she got me to do it because really, besides the rehab, which wasn't working, not by itself at least, I started to do these tapes that she had. And it went way too fast for me, and everybody was like a Gumby figure, and nobody modified anything. So it forced me how to figure out how to modify stuff. And so a lot like what Arthur did. And when I gave him a bunch of modifications in my stuff, I just didn't know he would start to use a chair and find another way to modify because that was too hard without that. So bottom line is, in the first 3 weeks, I started to feel a significant difference in my body. So one night, you know, I'm doing those, you know, working through some of these yoga moves, and I realized, well, why don't I mix in these rehabilitation things I'm doing too, rehab stuff. So I started mixing, like, wow, this is sort of good flow. And I never really understood, you know, fold forward, gaze up, put your hands on the ground, go into plank, lower, then come into cobra to down dog. It seemed like, okay, we're missing something there. And at the time, I couldn't lift weights because I was just bedridden and, you know, hobbling around. So I couldn't even lift weights. I needed to keep my size. So I just started lowering that push-up for 3, 2, 1, hold there for 3, come up for 3, go down for 3, hold for 3, then go to cobra and down dog. And in the beginning, I did it on my knees for a while. Eventually, I built that strength up, and then I got off my knees, and then 3 second became 5 second, 5 second became 10 second push-ups. 10 second push-ups started to become sets of 10. So my body's getting stronger. I'm getting way more flexible. My body's feeling better. By the 8th week, I'm really feeling like this is really going to work. So I figure I'm going to get on some cardio because I'd never worn a heart monitor while I was working out because why would I? I'm doing my new form of yoga that I'm calling yoga for normal people. That's how it started. And one night I got on the Stairmaster because now I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure, at the time I was 42. So 42 less 180, and anybody who uses a heart monitor, if you're not using one, you should be using one. I don't care if you get mine or not. Get some heart monitor. It's going to make your workout so much better. But I took 42 less 180, which puts me at 138. Now, because when I'm on top, I'm a highly trained athlete. At its highest level, I'll go up to 148. I might even go to up 150s, but I'm not staying there long. I'm not really going to go past 148. That's like my zone. But now I'm hurt. So I'm not even going to 138. I'm hurt. I'm going to drop down around 130, 132. I'm not going over 133. So I get on Stairmaster. I do about 20 minutes, get on the mat, start going through some movements. I work into some push-ups, and I see my heart rate's 140. I'm like, 140? What's the matter with this heart rate monitor? And then I watch it go down. Then I start going back into doing engaging muscles. And before you know it, I figure out what would become dynamic resistance. The flexing or engaging muscles. I'm like, oh, my God, I can control this. Making my heart rate go up and go down, standing still. It was like really fascinating to me. And in less than 3 months, with what would become and known as DDP yoga, and anybody who's listening, I never call it yoga. If you're a guy and you call it yoga, you're asking for criticism. You're just asking for it. So if you call it DDP yoga, people go, DDP yoga? What's DDP? Would you ever hear of Diamond Dallas Page? The wrestler? Now more and more people are knowing it because we're going, it's blowing up. But back in the beginning, when I had Rob Zombie doing this stuff, and he'd get people say, God, Rob, you look great. What are you doing? He used to love to say, I'm doing yoga. And they go, yoga? You're doing yoga? And he go, it's Diamond Dallas Page's yoga. The wrestler? He used to love the reaction you'd get from people. But the bottom line is, in less than 3 months, what would become DDP yoga, I was back in the ring. At 42, they said my career's over. At 43, I was the heavyweight champ of the world. So I'm going to make that part of my lifestyle. That's going to last longer than anything I'm doing. I completely stopped doing cardio. I never did, any kind of Stairmaster, and I had a Stairmaster. I just sold it. I didn't need it. I hate treadmill or all that other kind of stuff. I hate cardio. I love doing DDP yoga, though, so I got all my workout in one. Now, back then, I still lifted weights because I really wanted to hold that 248, 250-pound frame. But as soon as I stopped lifting, as soon as I stopped wrestling, I dropped it. I was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Well, the word you used was lifestyle, and I think that is such a key part of the DDP yoga program. Now, this show is all about the people on Team DDP Yoga. It's what's so different than any other fitness system out there. An amazing way to meet people, support each other, including you as someone I've messaged and even seen in the chat room on occasion. Where did the concept and execution of TeamDDPYoga.com come from?
Well, a lot of people know who Terry Lang is. She's the first person I ever worked with, and she was a friend. And she was my massage therapist, and she did most of the work on her own. I just told her what to do and, change her mindset, all of that. But it was me talking to her. Then when I worked with Arthur, it's me and Arthur. And Smokey, it's me and Smokey. I mean, I was repeating the same things over and over. And it wasn't to a group, it was to one person. Because I had to go all the way back to the beginning and say it all over again. And then Robert who's one of who's been with me the longest out of anybody. Steve, who's the president of my company, he's been with me as, we helped each other over the years. But Robert actually has been working with me the longest. And when I hired my first person and didn't pay anybody but him, he's the first guy because he was on the web and he put websites together and he helps with the podcast. I mean, he's a utility man. He's a jack of all trades. He can figure out just about anything. And today, what he can't figure out, Steve can figure out and then teach him. But Robert said, bro, they got this site called Ing. It's like Ning. And I go, what does that mean? He said, it's like your own Facebook. I go, we could have our own Facebook? He goes, yeah, they got it like for all different. This is right in the infancy stages of this site. So he put together, a little, blip, on the internet. And it just started to attract people. So anybody who got the program, I would turn them on to it. And I would talk to so many. I mean, that welcome thing, that's something that now I have someone help me with to do, but I answer all my own stuff. And the people, I only work with people, like I have so many people ask for my help, and I had to figure out, okay, what did Arthur do? Because everybody wants Arthur results because he's the guy who's, the most extreme, case maybe ever in fitness. I got to believe that I've never seen anybody that's more dramatic of a change than his. And the video is just so over, it's amazing. I just talked to a guy who did an interview with me for this blog. I just put it up yesterday, an athletic fitness blog that he has. And he was talking about the guy who's the CEO of this big company who uses Arthur's video to, as part of his motivational speech. And he was telling me how there was 2,500 people at this one place that he was at that saw that one video. So we've got over 10 million views on that video. So how many does it really have? 100 million? So I just went through a list of what Arthur did. He, of course, he was there before Team DDP Yoga. So it's like, you want results, put the work in, join Team DDP Yoga, take those 6 pictures, take the measurements, start a food journal. And I listed off all the things that he did. I mean, now I give the Own Your Life audio book because that was something he really helped him a lot. Because it's about reprogramming your brain. And I've given that list. It's about 7 or 8 things. I can't tell you how many people. And maybe 3% of them actually get back to me after that. Because they don't want to put the work in. They just want it to happen. Now, the people who do put the work in and do it, there's a good chance as they start to make waves. I don't, online, I'll call them, and congratulate them and try to keep them motivated. And that's where the whole concept, it's like, I've helped so many people, including Arthur. And you'll notice Arthur welcomes a lot of people. So does Stacey Morris. And my whole thing with all those kind of people that I've helped, it's like, if I helped you, your payback to me is you help others. And that's the real concept of what Team DDP Yoga. And that's why you see people, helping each other and that I've never even talked to yet. But when I see someone's name flashing up there a lot, when I see them flash up a lot, I want to talk to them because, to me, that's what this whole site's about, and it's the interaction. Thank you, baby. It's the interaction. Brittany just made me an awesome shake. And, Brittany helps me out a lot now, like a lot, because I just can't do everything, But the site, to me, I think it's one of the thing I'm the most proud of is that site.
Well, and the involvement of yourself, Arthur, Yoga Doc, so many other high-profile members. It's so unique and different, yourself included, of course, in there. You and I exchanged emails when I first started. Everyone there is genuinely there to help each other. And, I mean, it's obviously one way to pay back you, but it's also something so unique in that people don't realize when they add Arthur as a friend, if you message him, he'll message you back.
He will, too. He really will.
And I mean, that's how I got a lot of the interviews we do on this show. I reached out to them on Team DDP Yoga. And people don't realize how accessible these people are and how far they're willing to go to help you. It's an amazing part of the program. I'm guessing that must have been, at some point during the progression of its growth, a hope for you.
Well, you know, it's sort of like, it's one of those things that's organic. It just happened, you know, and like just the whole attitude and the buzz. It's like there's no, like some people are afraid to put their pictures up. And my biggest thing is, I don't care if you put them up or not. Just make sure you take those 6 pictures, because that's what's going to motivate you. Like, you know, Jake stumbled recently, and I sat down with him, and I said, let's look at the footage from day one. Like, look where you were. Look where you are right now. You going back to drinking and anything else that comes with it ruins everything. You wanted to die back then. Now you want to live, but you can't have both. It's like showing that video footage is powerful. Showing that video footage of Arthur and the journey that he took and filmed everything. The biggest thing that I try to, get people to understand, and this is the analogy of it. When I was wrestling at 35, 36, I tore my rotator cuff and they let me go. And that's where Jake really came into my life, and he really helped me with a lot of stuff and guided me, and I had to figure it out, though. And then I got my job back, but no one really believed in the 37-year-old pseudo-rookie. So they used me more as an example. If you could only work 1/3 as much as Diamond does, I was like, if you could do what he does, how hard he works. I don't mind being that guy, but I want to be the superstar that you say that about. I don't want to be the guy who's just, making a paycheck, just getting by. So I worked 5 times harder than that. And where I went to was the power plant. And this is where the analogy comes from of Team DDP Yoga. Because what I found, the more I would teach the young guys, the more I would learn. The more I learn, the better I got. It's the same thing with all these amazing DDP Yoga workshops that I do. And I come in there. Today, I don't think about anything. I've done so much of this, and this is such a part of my life. I just have to have my outline so I don't forget stuff. Because with my ADD, and I could drift off, and I don't want to forget to teach, this part of the workshop. So I keep myself a notes, just like I did when I was doing Jake's induction speech. I want to make sure I'm on task, and that's how I control my ADD. But I figured out the more I taught someone, the more I learned. The more I learned, the better I got. That's what Team DDP Yoga is. The more you are around like-minded people, the more time you spend helping someone else, you're just reassuring everything you've done about helping yourself, keeping yourself around like-minded people. And I think of Liz and Christine. Christina and Liz, they are always on that site. They're always doing stuff for their blogs. They're always trying to inspire people. The whole time they're doing that, they are keeping themselves at the top level. Because when you start to drift off and you think you got this, and then you let life take control and you don't stay within the environment that really keeps you strong, well, before you know it, you've gained 10 pounds. Then you're pissed. So then you think, well, I might as well eat this, and before you know it, you're 20 pounds back. And you feel like shit. Then you start beating yourself up emotionally. It's like people want to say, God, I've had people say to me, I feel so bad. I feel like I let you down. That's why I didn't call. It's like, dude, you ain't letting me down. You're letting you down. Because I always say, get back up again. And the whole thing about Team DDP Yoga, if you stay active and in your environment and you stay around like-minded people, you will just get better and better and better and better. And then it hits a point in time where you hit that wall Well, you ain't going backwards, and you're in the best shape you've probably been in your life. So wait a while. Just keep moving forward. Eventually, boom, you'll start to move forward again. I hit walls all the time. And then, boom, something happens, and I get stronger somewhere. I break up more scar tissue in my body, and I get more supple, more flexible. Like, oh, my God, I can't believe I can do this. And sometimes I have to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward, but that's just the way it goes.
Well, and sometimes people don't have that support system at home. Sometimes they feel like they're doing it on their own, and having that outlet, even that environment that you can just escape to for 5-10 minutes and have somebody reiterate that, you know what, it's worth putting in this effort. You're doing the right thing, and there's somebody there who gives a damn. It goes a long way. Now, you mentioned also the pictures. I wanted to mention, I've had so many guests on this show who absolutely regret not taking those photos.
They do.
Shane is a great example. Shane McDonough, he hates the fact that he didn't take those pictures because he says, you told him to take the pictures, but no, he didn't do it, and he regrets it. So if you're starting out, take those pictures. Don't listen to me. Listen to the man himself.
It came because I wanted to see first-year physiology. One of the guys who helped me with this program, and he's the one who really produced the videos, the YRG fitness system videos. His name's Eric Pankowski. And when he started working with me, maybe he had 15 pounds to lose, max 20. But he was already in decent shape. And we took the pictures when he started. And then he was at my house in L.A., and I said, dude, did you ever take those 30-day pictures? He goes, no. It's like 60 days now. He goes, yeah, but there's not going to be that big a difference. It's not really going to make any real difference. I go, well, let's just take them for the hell of it. And we took them. And when he saw them, he lost about 10 pounds. And it wasn't about weight. His shoulders were a little broader. His arms looked much better. Just his body in general. He's like, oh, my God, send those to me. Once you see it, because if you don't take what you begin with, Jericho, he was pissed at himself for not taking the pictures, because you get to watch your transformation right in front of your eyes. Like if I didn't have all that video footage on Jake, I don't think it would have meant as much to him looking back. I mean, you can look at yourself and look at that thing, and this was 18 months ago, dude. You're older. You're that much closer to 60. You're just turning 59, and you look the best you've looked in 20 years. So maybe there's really something to this. And I think people have to be reassured all the time. Because the one big thing that I went to see Tony Robbins, about 6 months ago or so. I spent like the weekend there over his seminar. And that guy makes me look like I have no energy. And I think I've got more energy than anyone I've ever met, except for him. And when he speaks, the first day he speaks, and I'm not kidding, he does not stop for 11 hours. 11. There's no break. He has you sitting down, talking, then he has you up, jumping around and screaming and yelling, and then sitting back down. And before you know it, he's got you up and moving and jumping and screaming and yelling and da-da-da-da-da. He has you doing all these little tests and stuff on yourself. The main thing he's getting you ready for the first day is to walk on fire. Now, being a wrestler and coming from the world of it's a gimmick, it's a work. That's why with DDP Yoga, nothing is a gimmick. Nothing is like predetermined. Nothing is bullshit. Nothing. Because that's the world I come from, so I'm going the other way with it. Well, I figure with Roberts, this has got to be bullshit. How can you possibly walk on embers of wood that have been burning at are 2,000 degrees? How can you walk across that shit? Well, he prepares you in a way that makes you laugh in the beginning and think he's kidding around. Then you realize, wait a minute, he's really serious. And what he gets you to understand is something, because I've done a lot of his, I work at a lot of the stuff that I do as far as positive thinking and constantly, working towards the goal, and you're just, how you set yourself up for success as opposed to failure. And I didn't really know how to teach it till I watched him do this. I've been doing it my whole life. I know you can change your state in an instant. You can go from being happy as hell to mad as hell in an instant. but you can also do it the other way as well. And is it harder? Is it more challenging? Of course it is. But if you want it, you can do it. And I've done it and had the example over and over and over again. And for Tony, he's teaching you how to change your state in an instant. And what you have to focus on is your physiology, number one. And most people are depressed. They slouch. Their face muscles, they're just sad. But they look sad. And he explains to you how, he does this whole laugh thing and making yourself laugh out loud. And it's like a whole exercise thing that he does. And you can't be mad if you're laughing. I don't know why, but there's some sort of chemical thing in your brain or whatever. But if you're really laughing, you can't be like really pissed off. You just can't be. And the next thing he talks about is what you focus on. And then the story you tell yourself. And that's the most important thing. What is the story we tell ourselves? Like, before I walked out there in front of 22,000 people to do Jake's, because that's how many people were at that arena. 21 or 22,000 people were in the arena where they do the Hall of Fame and sold out. And there's millions of people at home on TV will see that speech. Before I walked out there, I wasn't going, oh, my God, I'm so nervous. Oh, God, I'm never going to be able to do this. Oh, God, please, I hope this isn't bad. I didn't say any of that shit to myself. I said, this is going to be the best talk I have ever done. This is going to move people at a different level. This is going to be the best thing I have ever done. That's what I'm rolling through my head. Because I truly believe in what Henry Ford said. If you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. I totally believe that. And if you got to say I can't, you said it by accident, because I'll even do it occasionally by accident, and then I'll add in the word yet. That little 3-letter word, yet, makes it possible. So I fill myself with that positive thoughts. Along with, that's what I'm focused on, and my shoulders are back, my smile is up, and I am ready to take on the world. And that's the message that I try to teach people today, as opposed to focusing on all the things you can't do. Or people want to depress them, get themselves depressed, and, oh, poor me, my car's broke down. Hey, you got a car. There's a ton of people who ain't got cars. There's a ton of people, civilization don't even use cars. We have so much, and we always get focused on what we don't have as opposed to what we do have. And again, it's listening to stuff that Tony Robbins says or Zig Ziglar. And you talk about Team DDP Yoga. The whole attitude of Team DDP Yoga can be summed up in one of Zig Ziglar's quotes. And his quote, which is my favorite, you can get whatever you want as long as you help enough people get what they want. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what anybody who's circled around me is doing. But that's like my mission. And for the first 8 years of doing from yoga for normal people to yoga for regular guys to YRG Fitness System to DDP Yoga, it's all the same stuff. But for the first 8 years, I didn't make a dime off of anything I did. I kept putting money back into production and more filming and, more stuff to get, PR and to get the word out. I was $548,000 of my own money in this company before I took a paycheck. So, again, belief. And remember who I made DDP Yoga for. I didn't make it for the yogis. In our country alone, there's over 20 million. So I'm not trying to break into any of that. I don't even call myself this workout yoga. It's DDP yoga. And if you don't think it pisses off some of the yogis that I tag it with, it ain't your mama's yoga, because some of them get pissed. Other ones laugh because they know I'm just trying to make a joke. It ain't what you're used to doing over there. I didn't make it for the yogis. My whole life, I've taken the path less traveled, from starting from a nightclub business to starting wrestling when I was 35 to creating a yoga for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. So in the case of DDP yoga, I didn't even create, take the path less traveled. What I did was, baby, that door's going to open. What I did was I got to the path, or I should say I got in the forest. There was no path. So I got out a bulldozer and I started knocking down one tree after another by myself. And before you know it, I had 3 people helping me knock down trees. And then I had 10. And then we had 20 and so on and so on. And now we just the DDP Yoga Pro, we're over 100,000 people who have bought that program, which is pretty amazing considering we launched this less than 3 years ago and it's all internet-based.
And obviously the future is bright. You have plans for an app that's not only going to change the face of DDP Yoga, but revolutionize the fitness industry.
Yeah, what our model is going to be, we're building it right now. It's an app. I want to, give people an idea of what it'll look like. My goal is to become the Netflix of fitness. And there's going to be so much interaction on this site. It takes Team DDP Yoga to a whole nother level. God, in the app, besides all the workouts that we already have, there is going to be such an abundance. There'll never be a chance for you ever to get bored on anything because there's so many other workouts that we're adding into it and so many other things that I'm constantly developing, plus DDP Yoga for kids. Like I've already got 4 in the can, and the kids are between 8 and 12. I'm also working with, for people I don't know if knows Ted Evans, but Ted was on my first DVDs, YRG Workouts. He was in the Fountain of Youth videos because back then he was 68. Today he's 80. He's about to turn 80. And Ted just worked out with us today. He can do versions of my psycho workouts. He's going to be 80. But he is going to be the teacher for people that's really going to be 65, 70 and up. And a whole new level of DDP Yoga for seniors. And I'm going to be with him in the beginning of it, but Ted's going to teach these classes himself. And he's got tons of charisma, and he's an amazing dude. He's an amazing dude that he worked with us for about 7 years, and then I lost touch with him when I was out in L.A., but 2 years ago when I came back to Atlanta, I called him up and I said, Teddy, I'm starting workouts at my house, man. I want you over here. He's like, Diamond, I can't do the workout anymore. I just got over having, last year I had knee replacement and I can't do it anymore. I said, you had knee replacement and you can't do it? I said, get your ass over here. Let's see what you can do. And he was limited in the beginning. You see what he's doing today, it'll boggle your mind. And again, going to be 80. So we've got so many really cool things going to come off of that app. My goal is to launch it on our anniversary, our 3rd year anniversary. And what we're going to be doing is people who already have the program will get like a free month of it because it's going to be a subscription base. And we'll get a free month of it right out of it, maybe even more. I haven't decided what we're going to do with that. But we're going to make sure everybody gets a chance to already get in there and really see what it's about and how to track your heart rate and track your workouts and, where you want to go from beginner to intermediate to advanced to psycho. To quick fixers, to, they don't have a section of just like 30-minute workouts because some people just want to get that kick-ass 30-minute workout and boom, and they're gone. That's what Jericho likes. He likes between 30 and 40 minutes. So I've made him a couple special workouts, and he loves them. I mean, Chris Jericho on his Talk is Jericho podcast, he talks about DDP Yoga like I'm paying him, and I don't. I never have. I do advertise on his site, but he's been talking about DDP Yoga since 3 months after he did it, when he went from excruciating pain and them telling him that his wrestling career was over, like they told me, to being 100% pain-free. and be able to do whatever he wants. So, he's another amazing testimony.
Well, Dallas, I really want to thank you for your time today, and I also want to thank you for letting me do this show. I reached out to you when I had the idea, and you gave me the go-ahead. It's been a great way for me to keep accountable and try to help others through motivation and the inspirational stories of others. I appreciate that you allow me to do this and hope our paths cross real soon.
Awesome, man. And one thing I want to say, first of all, let me ask you, do you do this professionally as a host? Do you do this?
No, I actually used to work in radio but couldn't afford to raise a family on what they pay, so now I work in sales.
Oh, well, yeah, well, you're awesome, man. So I said, you got to have done this before. This can't be your first time doing this, man, because you're, like, way too polished. So that's awesome. But let me also tell everybody here, if you haven't heard about the retreat in Mexico, you need to go to ddpyogaretreat.com. I do it every July. And if it's too close to leaving right now because you've already got plans for the summer, you definitely want to check it out next year. This is the best. I mean, this is the best of the best. These are all the people who come in, from Team DDP Yoga. Like, I know Christine's going to be there, and Liz is going to be there, and I know that Arthur's going to be there. I'm not sure if Stacy's going to be there or not right now, or Terry, but, I bring them all in. They all come in, and this is like the greatest time because all the people you've met on Team DDP Yoga, so many of them, like Don, Don, who's all over Facebook and Team DDP Yoga. I know he's been down. He's come to every one of them. We got guys that come every year, and it's a hell of a time. And all the information, we're actually doing it from the 5th to the 15th this year. So it's like some people can't make the first week and come the second weekend or whatever. But it's just going to be an amazing time down there in Mexico. And, it's a 5-star resort. And I hardly put anything on top at all, just to cover expenses and make a little bit of money because it's not about that for me. It's about getting everybody together so they can be like, oh, my God, we became such good friends on the site. Now we get to actually hang out together. And it's a hell of a time in Mexico. And like I said, it's ddpyogaretreat.com. Definitely worth it, especially if you're coming in and you're looking to jumpstart yourself. We work out, hard. I've never had less than 5 people come that have never done the workout before, because they come with somebody. And everybody there, I make them all be able to feel comfortable in their modifications, so anybody can come at any level to do the workout. And the people who come there to kick their ass, I show them how to kick their ass as well. So we work out hard. We eat really good because this whole it's 5-star resorts, 5-star restaurants all around. And the really sweet part is they're very conscious to organic, gluten-free, and dairy-free. So if someone wants to eat like that, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. But it's there, and the choices, their food is amazing. And we also party. On that second workout during the day, you don't have to do both workouts, but if you just want to come by for the cocktails, we all end up at my awesome, buddy. The place that's called the Casitas, which are the most sweetest resorts I've ever stayed at. And everybody comes down to the pool. And we have some cocktails before we head out for dinner. So it's a party. It ain't your mama's yoga retreat. Ross, great talking to you, man. Keep up the great work with the show. And it's all about keeping yourself accountable. And that's what Team DDP Yoga is all about.
Absolutely. And I'll see you at the retreat in 2015. That's my goal.
Awesome. Awesome, buddy.
So that's it for another week. Keep up to date by following us on Twitter. It's at Ross Raymond. And by checking out the Facebook page, just search for Team DDP Yoga Experience or join our group on teamddpyoga.com. And I'll see you again next week for another episode of the Team DDP Yoga Experience.
If you have comments or questions about this show, feel free to contact us by visiting rossraymond.com. There you can contact us via email, Twitter, or leave us a Skype voice comment 24 hours a day. You can even order your own DDP Yoga package and check out previous episodes of the show. That's www.rossraymond.com. This has been a Raymond digital production.